Radioactivity, no time to sending later. So physics we do from the last chapter, okay? Last chapter and then we'll go back. And the first chapter we'll do at the end. So the name of the chapter is radioactivity. And first thing you have to know what is radioactivity. Yeah? Radioactivity. Definition of radioactivity. Before radioactivity, you must know what is radiation. What is the meaning of radiation? Any idea? You can share with me if you have some idea. What is radiation? No, those are the examples, but what is radiation? Radiation, listen. Then your cancer disease also damages the human life. Is that radiation? Then you are saying that the cancer also causes harmful effect. Anyway, just what do you call? Okay. Listen, what is radiation? The energy in motion is called radiation. Any energy which is in motion, which can move from one point to another point, is called radiation. Example of radiations are light energy. Light moves from one place to another. We know the speed of light also. Even sound is also radiation. Sound also travels from one point to the another point. Heat also travels from one point to the another point, also radiation. So any energy which is in motion is called radiation. Which can move is called radiation. As simple as that. Don't go into harmful effects and useful effects. Okay. Now, what is radioactivity? We say the spontaneous emission of radiation from a substance is called radioactivity. We can say, in other words, the self-emission of radiation from a substance is called radioactivity. Some substances are emitting radiations by nature, means they are giving out the energy in motion. The phenomenon is called radioactivity, and the substance which emits such radiations are called radioactive substance or radioactive materials. Now, what is the cause of radioactivity? What causes radioactivity? So we say radioactivity is caused due to instability of nucleus. Instability of nucleus. What makes a nucleus unstable? We say excessive neutrons or excessive protons makes a nucleus unstable. When a neutron contains either excess number of neutrons or excess number of protons, that makes the nucleus unstable. And unstable nucleus disintegrates. Disintegrates, breaks up by emitting radiations until it becomes stable. Till then it keeps on emitting radiations. But a nucleus becomes stable and it takes very long time. Sometimes it takes millions of the years time. It does not become stable in 1 day or 2 days. It takes very long duration in order to become stable. So what is the cause of radioactivity? We say it is caused due to instability of nucleus. And unstable nucleus disintegrates till it becomes stable, until it becomes stable. Till then it will keep on disintegrating and emitting radiations. Okay. Now, what makes I told you the excessive neutrons or excessive protons in the nucleus makes the nucleus unstable, excessive number. But the question is how much in excess? How much in excess? That time we find the ratio of N by P ratio, or we'll find P by N ratio will be find. Ratio N by P or P by N. If this ratio exceeds 1.5, then such a nucleus will be unstable and such a nucleus will be radioactive in nature. And they will be emitting radiations for quite long time. So it is not for just for a day or two. No, it will go on for many years also. Okay. Giving one example. Suppose they are giving nucleus A, B, C and D, 4 nucleus are given. This is composition 20 and author is given 40. This is given 30, 20 and this is given 45. Auth here is given 20 and auth here it is given 50. 20 and 60, and then asking check which one of them is, which of the nucleus is radioactive in nature, or which of the nucleus is unstable, which one of them. How do we check? This is called atomic number and this one is called mass number. This is called atomic number. Atomic number. This thing is called mass number. Mass number. Mass number is denoted by A and atomic number denoted by Z. What is atomic number? Atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus is called atomic number, and number of protons and neutrons together is called mass number. That is, how many protons does this nucleus have? So we say proton, number of protons is 20 here. How many neutrons is there? To find the number of neutrons you have to subtract, because mass number is protons and neutrons together is 40. Out of which 20 protons are there. How many neutrons are there? You have to minus 40 minus 20. 40 minus 20, the answer will come 20. Now I find the ratio N by P. 20 by 20, the answer comes 1. Do you think it is radioactive? The answer is no, because answer must come greater than 1.5. So this is not radioactive. Yeah, it is a stable nucleus. That means it is non-radioactive. Good. Similarly, here protons are how many? 20. Neutrons we are finding 45 minus 20, this will come 25. I will find N by P ratio, that means 25 by 20. I divide, answer will come 1.25. Is it radioactive? No. Let us check this one. Proton 20, neutron 50 minus 20, 30. N by P ratio, I will find 30 by 20. The answer comes 1.5. Exactly. Is it radioactive? No, it should be greater than 1.5. The condition is greater than. I didn't mark equal. Last one you check now. Proton is 20. Neutron is how much? 40. Ratio N by P is coming 40 by 20. That means answer is coming 2. This is radioactive. P is radioactive. Other three are non-radioactive. So this is how we check. In some cases, no, in some cases, suppose I give another case situation. Suppose X is given 20 and 30. How many protons are there? 20. How many neutrons are there? 30 minus 20, 10. This time which is more? Which one is in excess? Protons. Then we will find the ratio of P by N, whichever is more. P divided by N I will find out. 20 by 10, whichever is more. 20 by 10 answer comes what? 2. So this time we will check is the number answer coming greater than 1.5 or not. So it is radioactive. So whichever is more, no, so we divide greater quantity by the smaller quantity. If the answer comes greater than 1.5, it will be radioactive in nature. That nucleus will be unstable and will be radioactive. Hope you understood this part. Yes? Any confusion? Okay, good. Now, that is the reason why radioactivity is called nuclear phenomenon. Nuclear, because it takes place due to instability of nucleus. And this part of physics is known as nuclear physics, because you are dealing with the nucleus of an atom. So anything related to or pertaining to nucleus is called nuclear. So that's why radioactivity is a nuclear phenomenon. That means it takes place due to disintegration of nucleus, or you say it takes place due to the instability of nucleus. And what makes a nucleus unstable? Excessive protons or excessive neutrons make the nucleus unstable. But how much in excess? I gave the value. It should be in excess than the other by 1.5, greater than 1.5. The ratio should come more than 1.5. Hope you got it. Okay, now the next point. Radioactivity cannot be stopped or cannot be controlled by chemical reactions or by some physical activities such as melting, such as cooling, such as hammering, such as whatever way, we cannot change. The radioactive nature will not change. Why it will not change? Because it is a nuclear phenomenon. It takes place due to the instability of nucleus, and nucleus never takes part in any chemical activities. It is the electrode which will be either transferred or it will be shearing to form a compound, like covalent compound, electrovalent compound. But the nucleus never takes part in this any kind of these activities. Since it is a nuclear phenomenon, that's why radioactivity cannot be controlled or cannot be stopped by chemical reaction or by any physical means such as heating, such as cooling, such as melting. It will not change the radioactive nature of the substance. Suppose uranium is oxidized. Will the radioactive nature of uranium change? Question mark, give reason. You say no, it will not change because radioactivity is the nuclear phenomenon. You just mentioned that. And nucleus never takes part in chemical reactions. Finished. Now if they ask you uranium salt is melted, will its radioactive nature change? The answer is no. Because it is a nuclear phenomenon and the nucleus remains unaffected even by melting. At the time of melting also nucleus does not take part in the melting and all, okay, in the physical activities. So it will not change. Now what are the example of radioactive materials? The example of radioactive materials, just now I said uranium, we have radium, common ones, radium, thorium, we have plutonium. Plutonium bomb was used on Hiroshima. Atom bomb, no, it is also known as plutonium bomb. Plutonium bomb, it is not the uranium bomb. Uranium is not used over here. There is also known as plutonium bomb. Okay, are you able to get me? Yeah, if you mute yourself, it will be better. If you have questions, then you unmute and then ask me. Okay. So, when uranium or thorium is oxidized, will its radioactive nature change? Answer is no. That part I said already, and I was giving examples. Few examples you should know also, like uranium, thorium, plutonium, radium, strontium. Whatever comes in the periodic table above lead, lead atomic number is 82 and mass number is 204. Mass number doesn't matter, we are bothering this one, 82. Whichever elements comes above the lead, they all are radioactive in nature. They all have excessive number of neutrons or protons in their nucleus. So they all are radioactive. That means the lead is the last atom, last nucleus which is stable. Below lead, up to lead, till lead is all stable. And above the lead, all of them are unstable. That means all of them are radioactive in nature. Hope you understood it. So this type of question if they ask you easily handle. Okay, now I talked about this one. Who discovered radioactivity? There was a scientist, his name was Henry Becquerel. The name of the scientist was Henry Becquerel. He discovered radioactivity. He was a discoverer. And he discovered radioactivity accidentally. Actually, he was a chemist. He was performing some experiments in the chemistry lab. And he had some uranium salt. When he was using the uranium salt, he was getting, without using any source of heat, he was getting excessive quantities of heat generated there. Then he started thinking something wrong with the salt, why heat is coming out from this salt. Then he wanted to check whether any kind of radiations, invisible radiations are coming, because many radiations we will not be able to see and they will not have even a smell or anything, so we cannot see that, we cannot identify that unless we do something. We have to do some other test to identify the radiations. And the best method is use the photographic plate. If you put a photographic plate in front of any kind of radiations, the photographic plate will be badly affected. That means there will be shadows, there will be scratches in the photographic plate all over. It will turn black only, because the photographic plate is made up of silver nitrate. When any radiation hits it, the silver nitrate turns black. That is the idea. If you see the shadows formed there on the photographic plate, that guarantees that there were some radiations to which the photographic plate is exposed. So he did the same thing. He took a thick lead container, because lead is the metal with the highest density, and due to high density it will stop all the radiation, it will not allow the radiations to go out of it. If you are using the lead containers, he used the salt here, salt was taken here, and he placed a photographic plate just above the salt on the lid, means photographic plate, he just put it at the top. And of course in a dark room, because if you have the lighted room, so the light will also affect the photographic plate. So you will never know this photographic plate is affected due to the light or due to this radiation. You will not know. That's why you have to do it in the dark room. So now when he placed a photographic plate above the salt, he found that the photographic plate was badly affected. There were dark shadows on the photographic plate. Then that confirmed me that there were some radiations coming out from this. Surely this one is emitting some kind of radiations. Okay, now to know the nature of the radiations, now he placed photographic plate above the container and he applied electric field, one side positive into one side into negative, and now he finds that some radiations coming here directly, some were going this side and some were going this side, like this way. So now on the basis of these three spots only he saw this time. He did not see the photographic plate getting affected all over, rather he saw only 3 distinct spots. So on the basis of these 3 spots, he said that there are 3 types of radiations coming out, and he named them alpha, beta, and gamma. Okay, the one which is going towards the positive side, it must be negatively charged. This must be negatively charged. This must be negative in nature, and he named it beta. The one which is bending towards the negative side, it must be positively charged, and he named it alpha. And the one which is bending towards neither of the side is going undeflected, that was gamma. He named it gamma. So alpha, beta, gamma radiations were detected in this manner, and they are also known as Becquerel rays. Becquerel rays, because he discovered it. So that's why these rays are named even after him. Becquerel rays. So this is how the 3 types of radiations were seen to be emitted from the radioactive materials. Okay, now what is alpha, what is beta, what is gamma? So in the notes I have given you a table in the tabular form. So I will just tell you a few important things about alpha first, and then I talk about beta, then I talk about gamma. On further investigations, it was found that the alpha particle is same as helium plus atom, this atom. What do we read it? We say doubly ionized helium atom. Doubly ionized helium atom. A helium atom containing 2 ions, that is a helium atom which has 2 electrons less. So such particle is called alpha. It is the doubly ionized helium atom, and the beta was a fast moving electron emitted from the nucleus. Electron we write as E minus 1 and 0. We write as this is the symbol for electron. So beta is a fast moving electrons emitted from the nucleus, and gamma is a kind of wave, electromagnetic wave. Electromagnetic wave is somewhat similar to light. Electromagnetic wave. It is similar to light. Light can travel through vacuum, gamma also can travel through vacuum. Light is undeflected or unaffected by electric field. It's also magnetic field also will not affect the light, and magnetic field will not even affect the gamma. So gamma is similar to electromagnetic. It is a kind of wave, electromagnetic wave. Alpha and beta are similar to some kind of particles. They have got masses. But gamma is not a particle. It is a kind of waves. It does not have any mass. Okay, this was doubly ionized helium atom. What is the charge on this one, alpha particle? Charge is equal to 2, positive 2 ions. That means charge is equal to, we write it plus 2e we can have. Charge of the alpha particle is plus 2e or plus 2, and the value of E is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. This is the value of charge of 1 electron. That is 2 and this will multiply, answer will become plus 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Alpha particle contains this much charge. Is equal to the positive charge of 2 electrons or 2 protons, because electron proton have an equal charges and the value is this much, 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. Okay, what is the charge of beta particle? Charge, this is the value of charge. Beta particle charge is same as the charge of electron, that is minus 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. This is the amount of charge in the beta particle. And gamma has got zero charge, no charge. Mass of alpha particle. Mass of the alpha particle is equal to mass of the helium nucleus 2 and 4. Helium nucleus mass 2 and 4. And mass of the beta particle is equal to mass of an electron. Mass of an electron. The value of which you need not to know. If you want to know, the value is 9.1 into 10 to the minus 31 kg. This is called mass of the electron. So mass of the beta particle is same as the mass of the electron. If you know, then it's well and good, but just keep in mind, probably they will not ask you give the value of the mass of the beta particle. They will not ask you, but just keep in mind this is same as electron. Mass is same as the mass of the electron. And gamma's mass is zero. It doesn't have a mass. It is a kind of wave. So wave does not have any mass. For example, light. Do you think light has got any mass? Otherwise, light is striking you. Do you feel any extra mass in your body? No. So the light does not have. Electromagnetic waves do not have any mass. Neither they have charge. So it is like that. And after that, alpha particle has low penetrating power, very low. It cannot penetrate through human skin. It is easily stopped by thin paper and human skin stops it. That is, alpha particle cannot even penetrate through our body, cannot penetrate through our skin. So it has got very low penetrating power. Beta has more penetrating power than alpha, 100 times more, and gamma will have 10,000 times more than alpha. That is, which has the most penetrating power? Gamma. That is the reason why it is most harmful, because it easily penetrates. It can easily penetrate through our body and can damage our delicate organs easily. Normally, the gamma radiations, it passes through our eyes. The persons may become blind because it may damage the retina of the eye. The person becomes blind. So it may happen like that. Then alpha particles can travel only through a distance 1 meter in the air. Because of low penetrability, it cannot penetrate through even the air. It travels a distance of only 1 meter in the air. Beta can travel a distance of 100 meters in air, and this can travel through a distance of 10,000 meters, that is 10 kilometers in air. Then only the gamma rays will be stopped. Up to 10 kilometers it can easily travel. How can we stop alpha particles? Alpha particle can easily be stopped by thin paper and human skin, I already told you. Beta particle can be stopped by 2 millimeter thick lead or 5 millimeter thick aluminium. I have given in the notes, you can just have a look at it. And then gamma radiations can be stopped by 5 millimeter thick lead. Lead is the same. Lead can stop all kind of radiation because of very high density. 5 millimeter thick lead or 30 centimeter thick iron can stop gamma rays. Okay, now this alpha particle speed is very low, low in comparison. Beta has got higher speed, and the gamma has got the highest speed. The speed of gamma is same as the speed of light. And alpha speed is 10 to the power of 7 meter per second. 10 to the power of 7. Beta speed is equal to the 90% of the speed of light. It travels with a speed equal to 90% of the speed of light, and gamma travels with a speed equal to the speed of light, exactly equal to the speed of light. It is similar to light rays or X-rays or electromagnetic waves. In the chapter spectrum, you must have read there are 7 electromagnetic spectrums. Gamma is the first one, right on top. Gamma is the most harmful of them because of very high frequency, highest frequency, and highest penetrating power. The most energetic of them is gamma, and because of the high energy, it has got high penetrating power, and it is most harmful of all type of radiations. Okay. Hope you got some idea about it, alpha, beta and gamma. This was the thing which I shared with you. It was all after this experiment. There was investigation, research, and they found all these properties. Okay, now alpha has the highest ionizing power because it contains the maximum amount of iron. Beta has low ionizing power and the gamma has the least ionizing power. So this is also one of the properties of this alpha, beta and gamma. Now the question comes like this. When an alpha particle emits, when an alpha particle absorbs one electron or gains one electron, what happens? We say when alpha particle absorbs one electron, it changes into singly ionized element. Just now it is doubly ionized. When it gains one electron, so one positive charge will be neutralizing the electron. It will change into single ion, singly ionized helium atom when it absorbs one electron. But when it gains two electrons, then it changes into helium atom, neutral helium atom without any ion. That is, it changes into a normal gas, exactly normal gas or the inert gas, and the name of the inert gas is helium. But how it changes into helium gas? The reason is on absorbing two electrons. When it absorbs two electrons, then it changes into helium. Can an alpha particle gain more than two electrons? Or 3, 4, 5 and all? Answer is no. Because on gaining two electrons only it changes into helium atom, it acquires a stable configuration. So once it acquires a stable configuration, it will have no ability of gaining or losing any more electrons. So that is the reason why it cannot gain more than two electrons. Hope you understood this point. Yes? Okay, good. Now the next one. Can a hydrogen nucleus emit an alpha particle? Can a hydrogen nucleus emit an alpha particle? Answer is no. Because mass of the alpha particle, that is mass of the helium nucleus, is more than the mass of the hydrogen. Hydrogen mass is only 1h1, and mass of alpha is He24. Mass of the alpha particle is more 4 unit and organic is only 1 unit. So mass of the alpha particle is more than the mass of the hydrogen nucleus. That's why a hydrogen nucleus cannot emit. You have less mass, can less mass particle, can it emit the particle of larger mass? Is it not possible only? If you have larger mass here, then it can, from here a part of the mass may come out. From here only the particle, small particles will come out. But from this one all, yes? Yeah? You had any questions? Hydrogen nucleus cannot emit alpha particle because alpha particle's mass is greater than the mass of the helium nucleus. That is the answer for this question. Hope you have got the idea of all this, what I shared just now with you. Now, next point about beta, the important thing. Now see. Okay, now look at this now. Which one is deviating the least out of the three of them? Which one deviates the least? The answer is gamma doesn't deviate at all. But out of alpha, beta, which deviates the least? We say alpha because of its heaviness. Because alpha is having the largest mass, and beta deviates the most because of the lowest mass. I mean, between these two. Beta has got less mass than alpha particle, that's why it deviates or it bends with a lesser angle. Even your question may come this also. They may show 3 spots on the photographic plate, like this is given one, like this is another one, and like this is one, another one. They are given 1, 2, 3, the name is given. And they are asking, identify each of the spots as the photographic, when the photographic plate is exposed to radioactive materials. Identify them, 1, 2, 3. What is 1? Can you tell me? Number 1 is which type of radiations? And 2, number 2. And 3. Okay. Why 1 is alpha? Tell me why 1 is alpha? It is alpha is closest to the center, no closest. It is bending with a lesser angle of it. From the center, the one is going to the center here, and the one is going to the point 3. That is your. It is deviating the most. The gap is more. The distance is more from the center. More the distance that is deviating more. That has to be beta, and alpha deviates the minimum, and gamma does not deviate at all. So that is the idea. Okay, now coming to this beta particle. Do you know in the nucleus what are present? Which particles are present in the nucleus? We say protons and neutrons. But here beta is, we are writing here, beta is a fast moving electron emitted from the nucleus. The question is, in the nucleus we never have electron, but how come electron is coming out, and that we are calling beta particle from the nucleus. The nucleus never had electron, but how come electron is coming out of it? How come it is coming out from the nucleus? The reason is, it is like, I will just tell you one thing. One proton and one electron, when we combine together, they will form one neutron. Because proton is positively charged and electron is negatively charged. Positive and negative, they neutralize each other, forming one neutron, an uncharged particle, neutral particle. Same way, when one neutron breaks, it will give one proton and one electron, and that electron comes out from the nucleus. So the beta particle is emitted due to disintegration of neutron. We don't say disintegration of nucleus, rather we say disintegration of neutron. Neutron disintegrates this. Neutron formula is 0, 1 period. This is neutron. And this neutron breaks up into one proton and one electron. We write like this. So this is the reason why the electron is coming out in the form of beta particle from the nucleus. This is the reason that electron is emitted in the form of beta particle from the nucleus. And this proton is much heavier than electron. It is 2000 times heavier than electron, so it remains there in the nucleus. It cannot move out because of its very, very large mass. Whereas electron mass is much less as compared to proton, it is emitted. And that particle we are calling beta particle. If they ask you write down the nuclear reaction for the disintegration of a neutron, you like this reaction. And they may ask you name a place where such reaction occurs. We say this reaction occurs in the radioactive nucleus, or this reaction takes place in an unstable nucleus where beta particle is coming out. Okay, assign a special name to the electron emitted. They may ask you that. What is the special name to the electron emitted? We say beta particle. If question comes, name the radiations of a radioactive material which is similar to light, we say gamma rays. Name a radiation which is similar to inert gas, the answer is alpha particle. And name the inert gas. What is the name of the inert gas? Helium. And how does it change ultimately into the helium gas on gaining 2 electrons? Okay. Yeah. Name a particle which is similar to the particles in the cathode rays. Cathode rays also emit electrons. So name the radiation which is similar to the particles in the cathode rays. The answer is beta particle. Beta particle is also electron, and the cathode rays also emitting electrons. So beta particles name will say in that case. Hope you understood. No? Clear? E down -1 and on top 0. Its charge is -1, no, and then on top it is 0. So that is a symbol for electron, and this is a symbol for proton. Proton we write 1h1, or we can write 1p1, or we can write 1p1. This way, any one of the way we can write proton. Proton is same as helium 11. Okay. So today we are doing this much, and I'll set the notes later.